WAW, the 6th letter in the 22-letter Hebrew alphabet. Can be seen as connection, bridge, and blending, balanced scales of justice, a man with arms raised or outstretched. It's used as a male suffix in Hebrew. In a very brief explanation available on erictology.net, WAW is described as hooked up, connected, hanging onto, attached, bridged, interlink, coupling device, masculine, nail, secured by, vow, or binding oath. If we go onto the chart, reading Aleph through Tav, we have connection, nail, hook, tent peg, secures, bonded, and his bridge, blends, disconnect, link, buckle, gate, attached, the man who would, goblet, container. Emissary, ambassador, engineered torque settings, drive shaft, U-bolt, joint, cogged gear wheel, balanced, chain of multiple singulars, caught, barbed. X becomes Y, because, thus, first order yields last order, chrysalis, vehicle. On page 189, we have the WAW section in Klein's Red Dictionary. This section is only 4 pages, and the beginning paragraph gives quite a bit of information about the WAW. This letter I've always known as VAV before reading this dictionary, and so for this video, I will use the WAW name for this letter. On the shield card, we have Exodus 34, 5, 6, and 14. And Yod-Heh-Wah-Heh came down in the cloud and stood with him there, that's speaking of Moses, and proclaimed the name Yod-Heh-Wah-Heh. In verse 6, and Yod-Heh-Wah-Heh passed before him and proclaimed Yod-Heh-Wah-Heh, Yod-Heh-Wah-Heh, and El, compassionate and showing favor, patient and great in loving commitment and truth. And verse 14, for you do not bow yourselves to another mighty one, for Yod-Heh-Wah-Heh, whose name is jealous, is a jealous El. So let's work on some dictionary practice. I'm going to challenge you today to turn to page 189 and find this word, Yod, Bet, Lamed, Bet, Dalet, and maybe pause the video and see if you can find this word and also the definition. So it's defined as on condition, only if, provided that, only apart, separately. On page 189, we have the word Wa Gimel He, and that's defined as Vega, the brightest star in the constellation Sirah. On page 190, look for the word Wa Yod Aleph He, and that's defined way, road, path, by way of. On page 190, we have the word Wa Kaf Chet. I look at that as the connection by Yah's hand into his treasure box or into his protected area. And how do we learn his things other than to discuss, to argue, and to debate? On page 192, we have Wa Tav Kuf. I see that as the connection of the covenant raised up or elevated. And that word in the Red Dictionary is defined to praise, to become veteran. He praised, he reached seniority, became a veteran. On page 192, we have Wa Tav Yod Kuf. All I've added is a yod into this word, and the definition is straightforward, earnest, reliable, experienced, distinguished, senior, veteran, old-timer. Was firm, was solid, relied, depended, firm, strong. We also have a few derivative spellings. So let's look at Psalms 118. The Wa section is verses 41 through 48. And if I read the Wa words as defined, it would read, I am he who imparts myself to arrive. Answering, I will be afflicted, bowed down by the wood, and yet protected by the covenant. I will keep watch responsibly, yet be blamed a rebel, fire, poison, bitterness. The famous, glorious Aleph Tav, you went traveling, flowing in honor and praiseworthy procession, and were followed by sad grief, pestilence, plague. Drunk with fear, looking into the manufacturing of military industry, for a short while I must look away. I will place intoxication, weaving, intertwining. Astonishing desolation ruins my open hand, just like I said it would happen. So I'd like to dissect Psalms 1, verse 1 today. And in the Hebrew, it has, beginning with the first word, is Aleph, Shin, Resh. And that is defined to walk, happiness, to strengthen, walk straight, led or was led, authenticated to be happy, blessed. And that's hyphenated with Aleph, Yod, Shin. And that is defined as man, hero, husband, masculine, everyone, each one, anyone, anybody. Again, we have the Aleph, Shin, Resh repeated. The Lamed Aleph is no, not. The Hey Lamed Kaf is to go, walk, travel. In the next word, I dropped the bet as a prefix and also the tav as a suffix and could find the ayin, zadi, and that's defined as tree. And if I add a hey suffix, it would be plan, counsel, advice. He knew, knowledge. The next word in red, resh, sheen, ayin, dropping the yod mem suffix, is defined to be wicked, declared guilty, condemned. The next word, if I drop the WAW as a prefix and the kaf as a suffix, I could find bet, dalet, resh, and that is defined to scatter. And I also looked at bet, dalet, resh, kaf in the green, and that is defined as entertainer, artist, comedian. The next word is chet, tet, aleph with a suffix yod mem, and in the yellow that is defined as sin. Again, we have the lamed aleph, which is no, not. The ayin mem dalet is defined to stand, persisted, valuation, estimation, arranged, remained. In the second line, if I drop the wa and looked at bet mem, that is defined in them, and the sheen bet is defined as one who returns. The lamed dadi is defined as scorner, scoffer. And the last word, yod sheen bet, is defined to sit, dwell, stayed, remained, resided, appointed, was explained. Now, when I did my rendition of this verse, I actually started at the last word and proceeded to the first word, because sometimes in Hebrew that really helps with the grammar just to make sense in a sentence. So my rendition would be, remain not with the scoffer, not with the contractual terms of relationship with sin, not thinking it is funny, entertaining to be wicked, condemned. Plan to follow the advice to walk as a hero, like anyone who chooses to walk authentically, happy and blessed. So again, we have this WA, the sixth letter. Think of it as connection, blending, balanced, scales of justice, and secured. So for Genesis 1:5, I again put the blue arrows above all of the WAs in this verse. I underlined parts of words or whole words that matched. This is kind of my shortcut when I'm using the dictionary and finding definitions. So if you're just learning the letters, I would read the letters as Wa, Yod, Kuf, Resh, Aleph, Aleph, Lamed, He, Yod, Mem, Lamed, Aleph, Wa, Resh, Yod, Wa, Mem, Wa, Lamed, Chet, Shin, Kaf, Kuf, Resh, Aleph, Lamed, Yod, Lamed, He, WA, yod, hey, yod, hyphenated with ayin, resh, bet. WA, yod, hey, yod, hyphenated with bet, kuf, resh. Yod, wa, mem, aleph, het, dalet. And to read that, it might sound something like Yikra, Alahima, Lawar, Yim, Lach, Shacha, Kara, Lila, Yihi, Ein Ba, Yihi, Bakar, Yim, Akkad. So I hope that's a helpful look at WA. Here we have his seal with all of the alphabet, Aleph through Tav, around the seal, which reads Nam Yawa. And you can see in the orange, we've made it through about a quarter of the letters. Thanks for joining us for WA, and please join us next week for the study on Zayin. Like, share, and subscribe to this channel, and please leave your comments.